This is how a trader on Reddit transformed his life savings of $50,000 into $50 million during the GameStop short squeeze in 2021. Keith Gill, aka Roaring Kitty or Deep Fucking Value, was a financial analyst at MassMutual living in Brockton, Massachusetts. As of September 2019, he posted on Reddit Wall Street Bets about his GameStop position, specifically calling out Michael Burry, the famous investor from The Big Short who bet against the housing market in 2008, who was also really interested in GameStop and had just bought 4% of the company worth $13 million. Both Keith and Burry thought that GameStop was undervalued and that it would benefit from upcoming share buybacks and new gaming consoles that were coming out. At the time, Keith had bought a lot of call options and doubled his money from $54,000 to $113,000. His objective was to buy and hold GameStop for the long term. He held on to his investment through bad quarters that brought him back down to $83,000, but about a year later had made his money back up and more after Michael Burry kept on buying more GameStop. GameStop stock kept crawling up and up and up, and Keith's position was valued at $300,000. Michael Burry sold out around that time with a $270 million gain, but Keith was determined and kept holding all through 2020. Around that time, he posted that GameStop was potentially vulnerable to a big short squeeze, because around 50% of the outstanding shares were being shorted by large hedge funds, because the hedge funds were betting that the GameStop stock would keep going down until the company went bankrupt. However, due to the nature of the short positions, the hedge funds were borrowing a lot of money, and if GameStop had a sudden increase in price, the hedge funds would lose all of their money infinitely until they closed the position, which is what started to happen through the end of 2020 as Keith Gill bought more and his Reddit traders followed him. At that point, he was making live streams about holding his GameStop position, and his portfolio had climbed to over 3 million by the end of the year. That following January though, GameStop started getting some serious attention, because Michael Cohen, the billionaire and co-founder of the e-commerce pet store Chewy, started taking a stake in GameStop, specifically as an activist to transition GameStop into e-commerce. That was the final straw and GameStop exploded. Keith's portfolio went from 3 to 7 million to 11 million just a couple days later, but it wasn't over and GameStop rocketed up until $347 per share, at which point Keith's portfolio reached $48 million until Robinhood paused the trading on their platform, causing the price to stall. Hedge funds had been losing billions, and Robinhood paused the trading for volatility reasons. There was a congressional hearing to find out whether Citadel Securities, a hedge fund, had conspired with Robinhood's CEO, where Roaring Kitty appeared and said that he didn't do anything illegal and wasn't selling his position. The lawsuit was dismissed though due to insufficient evidence, and the stock started to lose momentum soon after. Melvin Capital, the hedge fund with the biggest short position, shut down, and Roaring Kitty sold his position and walked away with $34 to $48 million approximately, over 800 times what he initially invested. Keith Gill had the courage to stay and fight until the very end and made one of the most incredible trades in retail investing history.